Hey there. So my next guest is a newer streamer, and I really appreciate him coming on talking about his experience being a newer streamer, but also talking about his day job and what it's like being a real worker, like having a real job, trying to balance the day job, trying to balance the relationships, and honestly admitting like his biggest failure in life was not being able to manage those in the past and to really want to focus on those. So I appreciate him coming on, and you're really going to like this episode. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today's episode, I have a very special guest. I have Peter Adams. Hey there, Peter. How's it going?
Pretty good, man. How about yourself?
Oh, it's a beautiful sunny day in Las Vegas. How about you?
It's pretty good here in Maryland. 95 degrees, a little humid.
Oh, 95. That's nice. A chilly day. Well, we're supposed to be at like 115 today, so...
Whew. That's hot, but that's dry heat though, so it's a little nicer, I think.
That is, yes. Have you experienced the difference?
Yeah, definitely. I spent some time in Arizona and I lived in Maryland, so I've seen both sides of it, and it's definitely the dry heat's nicer, I think.
I did 9 years in Ohio, and you're trying to explain to people, but it's a dry heat. You don't understand. Like, you don't sweat. They're like, I don't understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, once it gets up to that 115, it's still pretty hot.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, just avoid the shade too. It's too hot. All right, Peter. Exactly. So I like to get this show just rolling right into it. So why don't you go ahead and just begin by telling us a little bit about yourself, please?
All right. Well, so I just started streaming back in May. I was laid off for COVID in March, and I was playing a lot of video games. I've always played a lot of video games, and I figured why not start streaming and see where it goes. And I started streaming in May. I've gotten about 310 followers on Facebook, and I recently started posting on YouTube. I am back at work, but I'm working a full-time job as a project manager for a roofing company. And I still stream over 40 hours a week and still put out content, or started putting out content on YouTube and trying to balance everything. I think I'm doing all right with it.
Fantastic. There's a lot for me to ask you about right there. But before we get into it, I start every interview with a single question. So I'm going to ask you, just like I ask everybody else, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how weird are you, Peter?
I mean, that's all perception, to be honest. Some people might say it's a 1, some people might say it's a 10. So it really depends on the way you look at it.
Well, I'm asking you.
I would give it right in a 5 then.
Okay, why is that?
In my perception, I don't seem weird because everything's normal to me. But I've had some people say, yo, you're a total weirdo, or some people say, hey, you're not weird at all. So figure right there in the middle is a good number.
I love it. That is actually the answer I'm hoping to get from more people. And you're one of maybe a handful that actually give it. Everybody else is like, I'm a 12. I like anime. Like,
hey, everybody likes their own thing. It takes all kind to make the world go around. So,
I like anime. That doesn't make me weird. All right. Okay. So before we kind of get any further, though, this is the Gamerpreneur. You told me you're a streamer, but I do need your gaming cred. When did you first start playing video games?
22 years ago on the Atari, and had the Nintendo, had the Sega, had the PlayStation 1, 2, switched over to Xbox, had the Xbox 360, Xbox X, or the Xbox One S, the One X. I just recently built a PC. Working on getting a graphics card so I can start playing on the PC some. I pretty much played since I was, a kid, and I'm 36 now, so long time.
I love it. All right, what do you play now?
I dabble in a lot of different stuff. I Warzone, Call of Duty, I play a lot of. I also like Red Dead 2 online. I'm glad they finally got that all fixed up and everything, so you can play that again. I'll stream Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I'll also stream some Need for Speed Heat. So there's no set genre or whatnot. I jump around to, what piques my interest and everything. Even Witcher 3, I picked that up earlier this spring when Some people have been telling me for years to play it, and the first time I played it was like March, and I played it 3 times through. It's a good game.
Wonderful. I'm going to ask you more about like what you do on stream, but let's keep rolling for a second. Kind of last gaming personal related question I've got for you, and then we'll get into your work history, what you're doing now, and then we'll keep rolling. But if desert island scenario, if I plopped you on a desert island with whatever console or system that you needed with one game, power cable, Ethernet cord, which one is it?
I'm gonna have to go with Call of Duty. Basically, Warzone. The new Call of Duty with the Warzone, because that game just changes up so much. I mean, you could have a totally action-packed game, one game, and you get 20 kills and still get like 15th place, or you go and get like 2 kills and get first place. So the unknown in that game and how it all constantly changes is what I like about that game.
Wonderful. All right. So Peter, what is your professional background? How did you end up working as a project manager for a roofing company?
I started doing construction when I was 13. I come from a big family. I have 10 sisters and 2 brothers. So I started working really young. So I was able to buy shoes and video games and whatnot. So I started doing construction young. I got a ton of years of construction experience, got into management at a big box construction retail company for about 6-7 years. And then I left there with differences of management and was doing my own thing for a few months. And this company wanted me on. So, they offered to pay me what I asked. So I went and worked for them, and I started at quality control for the roofing. And now I'm project manager, and it's pretty good.
Okay. Can you kind of walk me through, because part of my purpose of this show is to present my viewers with new potential opportunities, right? Maybe there's somebody out there who may not be happy with their current position, or like, hey, I qualify for that. I could try that. So what exactly does a project manager at a roofing company do?
So for the roofing company I work for, we do residential insurance claims. So we go out there and we help the homeowner file an insurance claim to, get their roof covered from wind and storm damage. Where my job comes in is once it's all filed and everything and working through the insurance process, I go out there and make sure the insurance is paying what they should be paying for. Insurance's job is to kind of, keep the money in their pocket instead of paying it out. And a lot of homeowners don't know exactly what they're owed. So I'll go out there, I'll assess, I'll write up the report. So then we have negotiators that deal with them. And then I kind of have everything scheduled. I have the roofer scheduled. If there's interior damage, I have the interior workers scheduled. I'll have the siding guys scheduled, the gutters guys, and I'll have basically the whole project scheduled with all the different trades. But then the bigger part is really making sure that insurance is paying out what they should be paying.
Well, that's interesting. I was sitting here thinking, you were actually like observing and overseeing the people doing the roofing, but it sounds like you're more of a paper pusher.
Sometimes, I get out there on the roof with them sometimes. If there's a problem, if a homeowner is really upset with something, I'll go out and meet the crew out there and either get on the roof or walk through the siding and, it's kind of make sure that the relationship between the customer and the crew is doing okay. You know what I mean? Make sure the communication is there between the two of them. Because sometimes, the homeowner thinks it's supposed to be done one way and the crew is like, no, this is the way. And the crew is typically right, but you got to be able to explain it to the homeowner in a way that they understand.
Okay. I didn't know there was a question of how to put a roof on, like the shingles point a certain direction. Like
you'd be surprised how, you'd be surprised how much people think our crew is doing it the wrong way when they're doing it right. So, a lot of people see the 3-tab shingles, which are really flat. And the new thing is the architectural ones, which have a texture to them and are thicker. And they're like, why is my roof sticking up higher and blah, blah, blah. And you got to explain to them that's how the shingles manufactured. So it's heavier and it can stand higher winds and whatnot.
Beautiful. Now, Peter, what are you hoping to do down this trade path? Are you hoping to keep moving up? Are you going to maybe someday start your own business? What are your plans?
Right now, I'm in Maryland only because I'm kind of stuck here. My girlfriend's doing her PhD. at John Hopkins. So I'm stuck here until she's done with that. And once we move, I'm depending on how big I can get this streaming going. May try to do that full time, or just go work for a project manager there. I've done my own thing before in the past, and it's good. But me not wanting to stay in Maryland, I don't really want to start building something because that's more of a local thing. And once you're there and get it, the clout built up, you can't just pick it up from Maryland and move it to,
Right.
Arizona or Florida or whatnot, like some other businesses you can.
Okay, fantastic. Let's talk about your stream. You've been doing it for a couple months. You think you said since May?
Yeah, since May is when I started streaming.
Okay, and you've gotten 300 followers on Facebook since then. How's that going? Like, so what was it like starting out?
Starting out, I was just like, I'll just wing it. And I probably invited, 600 of my Facebook friends, and maybe 20 or 30 of them followed the page. But then I started streaming mostly Call of Duty, and that market, I think, is just so saturated with so many people streaming Call of Duty and Warzone, that it was hard to pick up traction there. And then I started streaming The Witcher 3 since I was playing it anyways, for a third go around and, achievement hunting. And I started picking up more viewers on that. And so I'm like, all right, so I'll branch out and stream other games than just Warzone. And I've noticed games that are popular but aren't streamed often gain you the most traction in that, where you get the most new viewers, new followers and whatnot, like Need for Speed Heat. I'd stream 2 or 3 hours of that and gain five to 10 new followers and, 25 unique views in 2 or 3 hours. Which doesn't sound like a lot to some people, but to me, we're at only 300 followers. I'm like, all right, that's a significant amount.
No, that's fantastic. I wish my YouTube channel was growing that fast.
Yeah, I believe it.
All right. So other than the epic beard, what sets you apart from everybody else? Like there's millions of streamers out there. What makes you different?
To be honest with you, man, I really love the conversation and keeping in touch with the chat. So when people come in and they say one, and I know who they are, they say one word, I'll keep the conversation going as much as I can. It's a lot easier to do it in other games besides Warzone. And I'll strive to keep that conversation going because I'm a very social person, coming from a huge family like of 13. It's helped me be very social. And I actually use my games to be social, so when I'm not playing, I like to go out and meet people and talk. So streaming has helped me be even more social with the gaming. And I think that will kind of sets me a little bit differently. I know everybody tries to interact with their chat, but that's like one of my favorite things to do while I'm actually streaming.
That's great. Okay, so you're still fairly new. I mean, even you will admit you're still new. What resources have you turned to help learn and grow?
Well, I had like 2 buddies that were streamers. I've kind of asked them here and there. They're not huge either. They gave me a few pointers. I've Googled all the stuff I've bought and like the equipment or whatever. I've Googled and researched, what is best, what's most used, why, and, what's the benefit of each one, and cost analysis and all that for the equipment. But, tips and tricks, I mean, that's, talking to other streamers and trying stuff and seeing what works and what doesn't. Throw a noodle at the wall. If it sticks, it's done. If it doesn't, it's not,
That's right. All right. What's working for you? Like what advice do you have to share for someone who may be interested in starting themselves?
The biggest thing I said, I mentioned before was, streaming different games. If you, even like games you don't think are going to be popular, some people are popular and nobody's streaming it. So you don't be the only one, like I stream Red Dead Online, on Facebook, and I come up the top 3 every time somebody searches, and that's how they find me, so if you go to a game that's less saturated than like say Warzone or whatnot, I think you'll be able to grow more followers that way. And it will help you grow your stream and build your community.
Fantastic. Okay. So I want to go back in time with you if we can.
All right.
Now, you've been doing this for 3.5 months or so. But even before that, you've kind of been in the workforce for a few years now.
Yeah, a few years.
I didn't ask how old you were. So I'm going to say, if you can go back 10 years ago, okay? So 2010, and you could go to little Peter and, your past self, you're, hey, little Peter, this is what's going to happen over the next 10 years. This is everything, the good, the bad, the indifferent. But here's the one thing you need to know. What is the one thing you tell yourself?
Concentrate on relationships with family. I think that's the biggest thing is the most important is balancing work life and family life and making sure you nurture the family relationships. But if you're talking strictly as a professional thing, learn everything you can. Knowledge is power. You know what I mean? I always say I don't have all the answers, but I know where to find them. So I got a guy for everything. I got buddies who call me up, say I need drywall work. I'm like, I don't do that, but I got a guy, or I need a roof, or, everything like that. Making the proper connections and networking and, knowledge, I think for a professional are the two top things. And connections are very high up there.
That's absolutely correct. That's it. Like, that's the key to success is who do you know? Not how do you do it? Who do you know who can do it?
Exactly. I don't always know the answer, but I know where to find it.
Good hope. All right. So, Peter, I'm going to be a little personal if I can and humble you if possible, because I believe that we learn the most from failure in life. I believe that when we get smacked in the face, knocked down, we have to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, figure out what happened, and then move forward past it. Because if we let it just hold us back, then you don't grow. So what is your biggest failure in life, and what did you learn from it?
All right. So this is an awkward question for me, and I've gotten a few different job interviews and whatnot. And as cliche as it sounds, I don't think anything is a failure unless you don't learn from something. So if you quit and you didn't learn a lesson, or you didn't accomplish something, you didn't at least learn a lesson from it, then I think it's a failure. But if you tried something and you didn't succeed, but you learned a lesson on how to improve or do it better the next time, I think it's not a failure. So,
okay. So let me rephrase it. What is your biggest temporary defeat?
All right. Temporary defeat. It's hard. This is a really hard question for me, and it always has been, because I'm a very stubborn, and not in a bad way, but in a good way, to where I'm like, all right, I'll just move on to the next thing or something along those lines. I was a little defeated when I left the company I was working for as a manager, the big box retail before the job I had now, just because I thought I was doing everything right, and I was being told I was doing everything right. And then I got a new manager put right above me, and we butted heads, and I just couldn't deal with it. And so I just said, all right, I'm done. And I walked away without a plan. And so I think that was a failure on my part to, work through the situation and be more fluid. Where I had more growth potential there, and it was a company that's, nationwide, where I could have moved the job anywhere. So I could say that's a big failure on my part.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
Yep.
What is something that you're working to improve on in yourself today?
Every day I want to learn more as much as I can. So, I feel like if you're not constantly improving yourself, then there's a problem. Complacency kills. I always strive to learn something new or better myself in some kind of way, just by life experiences. And, even coming on your show, I'm like, I'm a new streamer. Why would you want to talk to me or whatever? I'm like, all right, I'll do it. At least I'll learn something, or I'll get something from it, because it's a different experience that I've never been on,
Yeah. How do you feel about the show? Like, I know we're still live and all, but how does it feel like being here, the kinds of questions I'm asking?
I feel good, man. I like I said, I love talking, and I love conversating. I love, basically, yeah, conversating, I love to talk. So, coming out here and doing it feels good. And, also, I've watched a few of your, live videos on the tips and tricks, and I appreciate everything that you've done and the knowledge that you share. And, I've definitely taken away a few of the pointers you get put out.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, this is supposed to be about you. So I'm going to ask another question. All right. So, Peter, what is something that you think that people misunderstand about you the first time they meet you?
All right, so a lot of people, I'm a fairly large guy. I'm 6'1", like 230, big beard, also big personality, loud whenever I'm out in public and whatnot. Very boisterous. So a lot of people say, man, you looked really intimidating, or you seemed intimidating when I first met you. And they're like, now they know you're just like a big teddy bear. And I'm like, all right, so I don't know what it is, whether it's my face, the beard, the size, you know. So I think that's the biggest thing people will misunderstand, is that I'm not a aggressive or, intimidating guy on purpose. You know what I mean? The intimidating part on purpose. It's just the way I look.
Hey, I get it. I feel you right there. I'm nearly 6'4", so small children, they like bump into me and look up and up and up.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So Peter, this has been fantastic. How do people find you on social media? Where are you at? What's your handle?
Facebook.com/rightiibeararms. It's rightiibeararms. So the two is basically two eyes, as in the Second Amendment. And on YouTube, it's Right to Bear Arms, Xbox Live. But Facebook is where I do most do all my streaming. I am putting out content on YouTube recently of like the legendary animals and Red Dead 2 online. So there's those, and how to hunt them and get them nicely.
Wonderful. All right, Peter, do you have any last thoughts you want to share, or anything I didn't ask you think we still need to cover?
No, man, I think you covered it. You nailed it. And anybody who's trying to start out streaming, just keep going. I mean, sooner or later, somebody's going to find you and love you, and, they're going to pass you around to all their friends, and you'll keep growing.
Beautiful. All right, Peter Adams, thank you so much. We genuinely appreciate you coming on with us today.
Yes, sir. No, I appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely. And for everybody else, I'm going to remind you all, don't be just a gamer, be a gamerpreneur.